For thousands of years, we've been under the impression the Bible was meant to be taken seriously. Finally, a new translation that'll change all that. This is Oh My God, What the Fuck Bible.
Reach out, touch faith.
Welcome to Season 4, Episode 6 of Oh My God, What the Fuck Bible with me, David Tuckman, coming to you from my house. Each week on the show, a guest joins me and tries to read a whole big chunk of my own personal translation of the Hebrew Bible while I make fun of it. And this time, we're reading a portion known in Hebrew as chukat and in English as... well, you'll see. But before we get into the show, I have an announcement. If you've been bummed about all these pre-recorded shows and you're in New York or plan to be in New York very soon, I've got good news. The Season 4 finale will be recorded live. Join me Saturday night, July 14th at 9:30 p.m. as we close out Season 4. We'll be recording at Anyone Comics in Brooklyn. That's 1216 Union Street in Crown Heights, and I can't wait to see you there. Back to the episode. Enjoy! I'd like to welcome to the show this week's guest. She is a librarian, and she is the co-creator and co-editor of the Two Bossy Dames cultural commentary newsletter. Please welcome Sophie Brookover. Sophie, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, David. Thank you for having me. This is, as you know, something I've been wanting to do for a long time, so I'm really excited we were able to work it out.
I'm really glad I can have you on the show. I wanted to ask you just a little bit about your religious background, as I do all my guests. How did you grow up in relationship, or what was the relationship to religion that you had growing up?
Sure. Well, my dad converted to Judaism, which I know is a little unusual. What I typically see in intermarried families, when the dad is not Jewish, the dad doesn't convert because he doesn't have to, because of Judaism being matrilineal. Right. But my dad wanted to. Okay. And I think is actually like the most actually believing member of our family.
Well, that's the old joke, I think.
Yes. I think it's, yes. Yeah. So he is originally from West Texas and was raised in a Presbyterian family. And he started his conversion process when I was really little, but didn't complete it until I was about, I guess, 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. And so my parents originally had a civil wedding, and then they had a religious service after he completed his religious conversion. And what he had told me was that although he knew he didn't have to do it, he had always wanted to wrap it up and make it official. Right. And then when we were at we were at the first bat mitzvah of one of our family friends' kids, and he realized, I am not going to be able to take a real part in Sophie's bat mitzvah in a few years unless I get this squared away properly. Let me make sure to finalize this. So he did, and then I guess around that my parents had always sent us to Hebrew school. That was super important. Like, we went to JCC preschool and then Hebrew school, and that in that time, this was like the mid-'80s, by the time you got to third grade, Hebrew school was 3 days a week. It was a morning on Sundays and then 2 afternoons midweek. And so it was like a really big investment of time and effort for everybody. Mm-hmm. I just think about all the carpooling that my parents, especially my mom, did. It was a lot. So yeah, I have 2 younger sisters. All 3 of us, basically went to Hebrew school K to 10th grade when you finish Hebrew high school. And then when I finished that, they and the parents of one of my friends hired a private tutor for us. And we had private tutoring 1 or 2 days a week. And we attended a really groovy egalitarian congregation in Philadelphia, like unaffiliated. Mm-hmm. When they started, they met in one of the side chapels of Congregation Beth Zion Beth Israel in Center City, Philadelphia. Shout out to all my Philadelphia area Jews. BZBI is still there and thriving. Our minyan was like, we had a bunch of rabbis who were members, but there was no the rabbi, which I think my parents and then later we strongly preferred, which is good in a lot of ways. Like, everybody participated to the level of their ability and interest.
Well, that means that if one rabbi, even in your own temple, gives you an opinion you don't like, you could just go to another one of them. That's perfect.
Right. So there wasn't like official clergy. So it was not like, oh, the rabbi said blah, blah, which I think is really good because it builds in a certain level of skepticism. Mm-hmm. And
you have the pluralism right there in front of you.
Like you have the power to interpret these texts and make decisions for yourself. And so there was like a really interesting mishmash of levels of observance. Like I grew up in South Jersey, New Jersey, Philadelphia suburbs. Most of the members of that congregation, lived within walking distance.
Right.
And they were more firm than we were. Not like Orthodox, but like quite observant conservative Jews, I would say, is probably how most of them would describe themselves. So they were like Shomer Shabbos, and it was pretty easy for them to maintain that, being able to like walk to shul and then walk to whoever's apartment was hosting the oneg,
Right.
And yeah, so like we went to services there every week for years and years. And then it sort of dissolved at some point. I guess when I was in graduate school, I was away, so like I wasn't there for everything that happened. But since then, it has been really difficult. Like my parents don't have a new congregation.
Mm-hmm. Are they still near Philly now, or
they're not? Yeah. So we all, me and one of my younger sisters and my parents, like, and our respective families, like we still live in South Jersey in the Philly suburbs. My youngest sister actually lives in New York. None of us are members of a congregation at this point.
Right.
And like I think that minyan dissolved in like 2001.
Okay.
So it's been a while. Like that's not to say that we don't go to services occasionally, but like I married an ex-Baptist from England. I don't know that he was ever actually officially a Baptist. I don't know if he was ever baptized. Yeah, so like I don't go to synagogue. We don't keep kosher. I kept kosher growing up. My daughter went to a Jewish daycare that was run by a synagogue close to the library where I worked when she was little, and that was a great experience. She certainly learned a lot, and it was lovely. But we were not inclined to join that synagogue, and we were not inclined to join the synagogue that my mother retired from. Like she was working at one of the big like suburban shuls in Cherry Hill, also as their librarian. So we just like there's a really, really great Reconstructionist, very independent minded, like multiracial, queer friendly synagogue in West Philly called Kol Tzedek, which I've been to services there a couple of times and really liked them. But I'm just not into attending religious services, I guess. I feel like I did it so much growing up, and like I kind of...
You banked it all. You don't have to do it anymore.
I filled my personal quota.
Yeah. It's Saturdays for sleeping, it's hard to get up. It's the day of rest, and you have to spend half the day in synagogue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have that excuse. Like, my body wakes me up by 6:30 every morning. Yeah, so I am not particularly observant in a, like, normal attending shul weekly kind of way.
Right. But your Judaism informs other aspects of your life.
It very much does. Like, on one aspect of that would be that when I was growing up, my family and a handful of other families in our town, which for like Philadelphia and South Jersey area listeners, which I realize is very niche, but for those of you from this area, so I grew up in Haddonfield, which is a very waspy town, and there were not that many Jewish families, and this group of 4 of them sort of got together years in the early 1980s. I think initially kind of as a book club, but then it eventually just became a like, hey, we're Jewish families, let's celebrate some of these holidays together. So for years and years and years, we would build a sukkah in my parents' backyard. And now we build it in my family's backyard. So, and my husband's an engineer, and he's very organized, and like he's in charge of like he's the project manager for that, basically. Like, he gets
it's
that,
probably a
it,
pretty serious sukkah.
Yes, he makes it like run very smoothly. The lumber lives in our basement. The decorations live in our basement. And so that's one of the, like, we celebrate Sukkot together. We have a big Hanukkah party every year where we have a very low-priced Pollyanna gift exchange. Nobody can spend more than $5.
Okay.
And we celebrate Purim together.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about some of that.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because in the reading you'll see. Well, we'll get to it. But speaking of, do you have you were going to Hebrew school. Right. You had a tutor afterwards. Yeah. You were mentioning your bat mitzvah. Did you have a strong basis in a textual tradition? I mean, now you're a librarian, so there is
right.
I feel great deal of text in your life.
A strong basis in a textual tradition is like.
Were you in a more simplified way, or that's like a very rabbinic way of saying it? Did you learn the Torah from start to finish a lot when you were young, or was it more focused on traditions and beliefs?
I think it was more focused on traditions. I did not actually get a lot of messaging about what my beliefs ought to be.
Okay.
I think it was kind of assumed.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty early into my teens, my feeling was, like, is there a God, though? That seems unlikely.
Especially this crazy one in the book.
This one, God, he's such an asshole. Why? I really do think that the Christians made some significant improvements
to like the character
God,
of God.
That God, I think, that God is much more, to my reading and way of understanding, he is much more a God of mercy.
Yeah, and yet
than
so many
the one
people,
that we got ourselves wrapped up in.
The authoritarian, crazy God.
Like,
yeah,
he not only authoritarian, but like every bit is petty and mean-spirited and grudge-holding as the Hellenic gods.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see him as any kind of improvement.
No.
Really.
He was like the one, don't sacrifice your kids to me, but that's about it.
Yeah,
and even that.
Yeah. So, to get back to your question about, like, a textual tradition, like, I mean, I think a textual tradition probably is something that ought to be on my gravestone eventually. Like, yeah, she had a textual tradition. Yes. I mean, we were, every week sitting there in shul.
Yeah.
They read the full Parsha in Hebrew. We had a bunch of copies of Hertz, and that was the main translation that we had, and I would read it, and that is part of where my problems started. Which was like, wait, he did what now?
Yeah.
That's our boss? Like, why?
So you were following along with the Hebrew every week. So you were reading this book.
Following along with the English translation.
Right.
My Hebrew has never been good enough to sight read. Like,
I don't
want to give anyone that impression.
I'm only getting to that point right now, I think, where I hear it in synagogue, and I'm like, oh, I know what that says now.
Yeah. There's obviously there's words that you pick up, but no, I mean, like, I did not study Torah in that way. Although, like, my Jewish education was very good, and like I remember in Hebrew high school we had. We did have courses, like there was a year-long course on the prophets where we learned about all of the, the different Hosea and Jeremiah and, is Isaiah this, that, and the other. And, I think I liked those a lot because it was more of a literary and historical approach.
Absolutely.
And talked about each of them as weirdo personalities.
Yes.
And like, I don't think the teacher ever came out and said, like, these guys were very messed up and probably also they were tripping balls. But, like,
yes.
I definitely got the message that there was something off about them.
Yeah.
And I did, in early adulthood, quickly perceive, these are people who, like, in our contemporary society, like, we diagnose as being mentally ill in some way, or like we try to institutionalize, like, definitely something changed.
Yes. Well, there's an old Talmudic saying, I think, that people who are mentally ill have access to prophecy.
Right. And I don't think that that's I don't know. I feel that trivializes the experiences of people living with mental illness.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, I find that very troubling. Yeah, but at the same time, like, here I am, not a religious person particularly, but I care a lot about religion, and I think a lot about religion. Like, a person who doesn't care doesn't spend the better part of 2 weeks, like, finessing 1,000 words on the secular ecstasy of pop music.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing about using the term religious. Like, maybe you're not an observant person per se, but if
right.
I mean, I don't know if I would call myself religious, but I'm somebody who spends a lot of time dealing with religious texts and trying to understand what they mean. I don't. Right. I feel like that's a category that we let be defined by people who are more observant or conservative, when that's not really how we should be using them.
Yeah, like, why do they get to be the arbiters?
Exactly.
They don't. Like, that's not... I don't accept their authority.
No, exactly.
On this matter. Like, my feeling is, okay, you're never allowed to leave Judaism. Mm-hmm. You just can't leave. Well, if that's the case, then you can't throw me out either.
Exactly.
And if you can't throw me out, then I'm here. And if I'm going to be here, I'm going to make this a place that I want to be.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things that I like so much about your podcast. And when I first started listening, I can't remember which Parsha it was, but it was the time that I was listening to it. I was cleaning my house for Passover, a holiday I don't observe in my own home. You'd
be surprised how many people who don't observe Passover still clean for Passover.
Yeah. Like, I don't switch out my dishes because, again, I don't observe the holiday in my home. But, you know, my mom was talking about what she was doing, and I was like, oh, all right, fine, I'll do it too. And so there I was, like, cleaning my floors and various countertops, and I was laughing so hard. The tears were just streaming down my cheeks. I couldn't catch my breath. It was the episode about how to get rid of mold from your home.
Oh gosh, probably Tazria or Mitzorah, yeah.
Yes, Mitzorah. He's like, he's yucky until the night, and there's cedar and hyssop, and like, it was so hilarious to me. I was just like, wow, okay, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is what's been missing in my life for so long. So,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So,
well, let's talk very quickly, because we do have a lot to read. This is a long one, and there's a lot of rules about ritual. But tell me a little bit about, or tell listeners a little bit about Two Bossy Dames.
Oh, sure. Thank you. That's
you're
lovely
welcome.
of you to ask. So, as I mentioned, I spent the last 2 weeks, like, writing about 1,000 words about the secular ecstasy of pop music concerts. And that is kind of what the newsletter is like. So I write it with one of my best friends, Margaret H. Willison, who is also a librarian. She lives in Boston. I live near Philly. We became friends through Twitter. Librarian Twitter is a really active corner of the internet. And we both quickly realized how much we loved and thought deeply about popular culture, which, like, I guess that's my Torah. And so we just realized, this is something that we could do some kind of project with. And so we started writing this newsletter where we would just share, like, here are the links that I saw. We read a lot of internet every week. Mm-hmm. Like, here are the things that I saw, or here's the books that I read, here's the music that I was listening to that I found really, really interesting, and these are the things that I'm connecting it to, and if you like this, you might also like that. So it's cultural commentary and criticism. It's conversations between the two of us. Like, one of our turning point issues was 1,989 words about Taylor Swift's album 1989. And that was just like a conversation between us about, like, where we were reviewing the album, but also placing it in context with other things that we listen to and things that we care about and the themes that we saw emerging. We have a pair of guest editors once a month. And every week it's a little bit different. Like this week she did like one of our, like her traditional link roundups. And this week I wrote 1,000 words about how happy it makes me to cry when I go to see Harry Styles live. Like that's, and yeah, so that's like a really taste of the type of stuff we write about. It's, I would say, a little bit of a high wire act of like balancing enthusiasm and erudition, lots of animated GIFs. We care a lot about a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's
and it shows.
Yeah, it's for people who are enthusiastic.
That's good. That's
I would
great.
say.
You wrote some very enthusiastic words about Oh My God, What the Fuck Bible, which is really
did.
flattering. And what was extremely flattering is that it was mentioned in the same email as the Great British Bake Off.
Oh, yes.
And that was just
that again. Also,
one of the most amazing sources of positivity in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of the most important contemporary texts.
Absolutely.
That we engage with. Yes, I'm so excited.
I can't even explain how excited my family is that PBS is airing a new season, even though it's a season that already aired in Britain. Nobody cares. We're watching it again.
Yeah. We my husband is English, and that show is one of the shows that like not only do we watch it with our daughter, but like also everybody else on both sides of our family watches it. Are super into it, so that's an internationally resonant Brookover Slade family show.
It's way more. I feel like Paul Hollywood is far nicer than God. If you,
yeah, but I hate him.
Yes, no, he's a bit. Well, it's all over now. He's gone, but
yeah,
it's a beautiful show. Are you ready to read the Bible?
I am. I'm psyched.
All right, let's do this. This is Torah, a loose translation, Book 4, In the Desert, Episode 8, Pinchas, Chapter 50, in which God makes a deal with his willing executioner. Numbers 25:10 to 25:18.
Pinchas, the son of Eleazar, son of Aharon the Kohen, Yehovah said to Moshe, "That's the guy who made me calm down when I was mad at the sons of Yisrael. He was jealous for my jealousy."
Oh, God. If we've learned anything from God/Paul Hollywood, anyone who shares his temperament is probably an insane person. So Pinchas, we're worried about him.
Because of him, I didn't wipe out the sons of Yisrael. The sons of Yisrael in my jealousy. So
which is pretty much a constant struggle for God.
Not great with impulse control.
No.
So please tell him that I'm making a covenant of peace with him. It'll be for him and his seed after, the Kohen covenant forever, because he was jealous for his Elohim and atoned on the sons of Yisrael.
Oh, God.
The name of the guy Pinchas fucking murdered while he was having sex with the Midiani lady was Zimri, son of Salu, president of Shimon, his father's house.
The guy that Pinchas murdered Zimri was having sex while Pinchas murdered him. Pinchas did not murder Zimri while Pinchas was having sex. That would have been a little bit out of control.
The woman's name was Cosby, daughter of Tzur, who was the head of his father's house of Midian.
Not a good start for the name Cosby. We're starting off real bad with the historical sources.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah.
"Strike at the Midianis," Yehovah said to Moshe, "because they came at you. They used their trickiness to trick you with the Peor thing and the thing with the Cosby girl, the way she got killed during the plague because of the Peor thing."
Oh, God, yeah. By the way, in case you're wondering what the hell is going on, we're starting off with kind of an epilogue from last episode where this woman and Zimri were having sex in front of everybody, and then Pinchas impaled both of them in the middle of it. Not very nice. Anyway, that's chapter 50. Chapter 51, in which the people prepare for war by counting. Numbers 26:1 to 26:51.
Counting is definitely the way that you have to prepare for war.
Absolutely.
I mean, actually, I guess if you have to like make a good inventory of your munitions, you do.
Yeah, you got to count. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I will stop making fun of that. Do a head count of all the sons of Yisrael who are 20 years and older in their father's houses, Yehovah said to Moshe and Eleazar, son of Aharon the Kohen, after the plague. anyone from Israel who can go out to battle.
So, yes, you do have to count your munitions and your men before battle, but you don't have to spend the next 15 pages on it, so we can still make fun of it.
From 20 years and up, Moshe and Elazar the Kohen said in the plains of Moab near the Yarden at Jericho, just like Jehovah commanded Moshe and the sons of Yisrael, who he took out of the land of Mitzrayim.
In case you forgot over the past 3 books.
Right. Or from Hebrew school.
Yeah.
Reuven, the firstborn of Yisrael, the sons of Reuven, Chanoch and the Chanochi family, Phalu and the Phalu family, Chetzron and the Chetzron family, Charmi and the Charmi family, those are the families of Reuven. Their count is 43,730. Eliav was the son of Phalu. I actually have a real life, my oldest friend in the world is named Eliav.
Not Phalu?
No. Eliav, but I've heard it on your podcast pronounced Eliav, but that's not. He puts the emphasis on the first syllable.
Oh, okay. That's very American of him, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that tracks. He is American. Nemuel, Datan, and Aviram were the sons of Eliav. Actually, Eliav's sons are Josh and Nat, but...
well, good, because Datan and Aviram were not good role models.
Okay, good. That's the same Datan and Aviram who split apart the nation and who went up against Moshe and Aharon in Korach's rebellion when they fought with Jehovah. Ugh.
See, bad role models.
Yeah, no, you don't want your sons associating with those dudes. No way. All right, I need to scroll down. Sorry. The ground opened its mouth and swallowed them in Korach. Fire devoured 250 men. It was a miracle.
A miracle, sure.
Korach's sons didn't die.
Oh,
the sons of Shimon.
Here we go.
All right. Nemuel and the Nemuel family. Yamin and the Yamin family. Yachin and the Yachin family. Zerach and the Zerach family. Shaul and the Shaul family. These are the families of Shimon. There were 22,200 of them.
Woohoo! Yay! Good for Shimon.
The sons of God by their families. Tzfon and the Tzfon family. Chagi and the Chagi family. Shuno and the Shuno family. Ozni and the Ozni family. Eri and the Eri family. Aror and the Aror family. Areli and the Areli family.
Areli?
Areli? Who knew? These are the families of the sons of God. Their count is 40,500.
Cool.
All right. The sons of Yehuda are Er and Onan.
Yeah.
Er and Onan died in Canaan.
In sexy ways.
Oh.
Yes. See season 1.
Oh boy, I have to go revisit those.
Oh yes. Onan is the father of Onanism. Yes.
Right. Yes. Okay. Got it. I didn't realize that was the derivation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's some great Yehudic etymology.
Yes. The man who spilled his seed upon the ground. Which nobody should ever do. Don't
do that.
Use a tissue.
It's a mess for other people. It's rude.
Come on. Yeah, that's what God was pissed about. I think I probably made the same joke 4 years ago.
It's not neighborly, and I'm sure that there are municipal ordinances against it.
No, use a doggy bag.
Yeah, come on. Get a grip. The sons of Yehuda by their families are Shelah and the Shelah family, Peretz and the Peretz family, Zerach and the Zerach family. The sons of Peretz were Chetzron and the Chetzron family, and Chamul and the Chamul family. These are the families of Yehuda. By their count, there were 76,500.
So again, Peretz and Zerach, I think, are the 2 kids that Yehuda had with Tamar, the woman who was too beautiful for Aaron Onan to
Got it.
consummate with. So a little bit of a weird family going on there. That's okay.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It sounds like maybe they were lookers.
Yeah, namesake for the Jewish people, had a funky time.
There you go. The sons of Yisachar by their families. Tola, the Tola family. Puva and the Puva family. Yashuv and the Yashuv family. Shimron and the Shimron family. Those were the families of Yisachar by their count. 64,300.
Woohoo!
And now, the sons of Zevulun by their families. Sered and the Sered family, Elon and the Elon family, Yachliel and the Yachliel family. These are the families of Zevulun. There were 60,500 of them. Based on the amazing art of counting. Next up, the sons of Yosef by their families. Ephraim and Manasseh, the sons of Manasseh to Machir and the family of Machir. Machir had Gilad, and Gilad had the Gilad family.
Which is very surprising.
It's so surprising. I don't think that any of what I've read before could have possibly prepared me for the fact that Gilad had the Gilad family. Who could have predicted? The sons of Gilad were Ezer and the Ezer family, Chelek and the Chelek family, Ashriel and the Ashriel family, Shechem and the Shechem family, Shmida and the Shmida family, Hefer and the Hefer family.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
All
it.
Right. This is the first one that's really challenging for me.
Okay.
Slafchad?
That's right. Slafchad.
Yes. Son of Hefer, didn't have sons, only daughters. They were Machla, Noah, Chagla, Milcah, and Tirzah.
They're going to come back a little bit later. Remember them.
All right. These are the families of Manasseh. There were 52,700 of them. The sons of Ephraim were the Shutelach and the Shutelach family, Becher and the Becher family, and Tachan and the Tachan family.
Who cares? They're all dead now.
The sons of Shutelach were Iran and the Iran family. Those are the families of the sons of Ephraim by their count, 32,500. Those are the sons of Yosef by their families. Get ready for the sons of Binyamin. We've got Bela and the Bela family, Ashbel and the Ashbel family, Achiram and the Achiram family, Shfufam?
Shfufam, yes.
Shfufam, all right. And the Shfufam family, and Chupam and the Chupam family.
I feel like at this point, even God was getting bored with all these families.
So many diphthongs. They're challenging. Yeah. Ard and Naaman are the sons of Bela. Both of them have families, shockingly.
I know. It's crazy.
It is wild. Those are the sons of Binyamin by their families. Their count was 45,600.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Almost done.
The sons of Dan by their families are Shucham and the Shucham family. Those are the families of Dan by their families. We got 64,400 people in Shucham. Here's Asher.
Ha!
Yimna and the Yimna family, Yishvi and the Yishvi family, Tuvriah and the Vriah family. The sons of Vriah, Chever and the Chever family, and Malchiel and the Malchiel family. Asher had a daughter named Sharach.
She didn't have a family because who cares?
Those were the families of Asher, all 53,400 of them.
Good for Asher. One more.
Now, Naphtali. Yachzel and the Yachzel family, Guni and the Guni family.
The Goonies, they were called.
Never say die.
Yeah, they never died, which is where it comes from.
Oh.
They're still alive. Yeah, the Goonies never died. Yeah. Yeah,
Fun
that's
facts.
what it says in the Talmud.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yetzer and the Yetzer family, and Shilem and the Shilem family. 45,400 of them. There were 601,730 sons of Yisrael.
Or, men 20 and over, not counting women, so probably 1.5 million. Who knows? That is chapter 51. Thank you for getting through that. Woo. Whew, we did it. So, it's like, oh my God, how many of these are there? But there is a reason that happened at that point, not just that they were preparing for battle, but right now, at some point, there was the biggest time lapse in all of biblical history where we went from just after the Hebrews left Mitzrayim/Egypt to all of a sudden now they're on the verge of conquering the land or going into the land. So they kind of needed to count them again and see how many had died in the intervening years and how many were still alive and all the plagues and all that. So this is like that last count, I suppose. I still think it's still tedious, so thank you for adding some flavor to that. This is chapter 52, in which there are instructions that actually matter right now, Numbers 26:52 to 26:56.
Cut the land into pieces.
Cut the land in 2 pieces. A lot is a resort.
Yehovah said to Moshe, based on the number of people in each tribe, give bigger portions to the bigger tribes and smaller portions to the smaller tribes.
Oh, progressive taxing.
Yeah. Give them to everyone based on the head count. Also, divide the land by lots using the names of the tribes of their fathers. Divide it between the many and the few based on a lottery.
That seems like the opposite of progressive taxing. That is some contradictory advice, God.
Yeah. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Get yourself an abacus.
Get some Talmudic scholars to figure out what the hell I meant then. That is chapter 52. Chapter 53, in which there's more counting, this time of different people. Numbers 26:57 to 26:65. There was a tribe that we left out before.
Whoopsie daisies.
Oops.
How could we do this? This is how many Levis there were. We've got Gershon and the Gershon family, Kehat and the Kehat family.
Which lost a few of the Kehat family in the event.
Ooh. And Merari and the Merari family. These are the families of Levi, the Livni family, the Chevroni family, the Machli family, the Mushi family.
And my favorite.
Karchi, and the Karchi family.
Don't eat the Mushi family after a while. Yeah, they're not good anymore.
Kehat had Amram. Amram's woman was Yocheved, the daughter of Levi, who was born to Levi in Mitzrayim. She gave birth to Aharon and Moshe. Also to Miriam, their sister.
Who's separate for no reason.
Or because she's special.
Yeah, she is special. They're both dead now. It's just Moshe left.
Nadav, Avihu, Elazar, and Itamar were born to Aharon. Nadav and Avihu died when they brought weird fire to Yehovah. They
mistake.
have 20... Yeah, big mistake. Just normal fire.
Yeah.
Don't try and put some pizzazz on it. Just some normal fire.
Get those fire dancers out of the friggin' temple.
Come on. They have 23,000 boys a month and older. Since they weren't counted with the sons of Yisrael, they were not given an inheritance among them.
So the reason we're counting boys a month and older as opposed to 20 and older is because a month and older, or at a month, is when they started to serve in the temple or be trained to be serving in the temple. Okay. So it's a different counting for the priests.
Having met babies that were a month old...
Yeah.
They don't even know how to put their own thumbs in their mouth sometimes.
Well, you haven't met a Levi kid. I mean, they're very advanced. This was years ago. I mean, things were different. Yeah.
So they're skipping grades. And,
yeah, exactly. I mean, these kids knew what they were doing. Okay. No, they just had to. I think
what do
they
I
were.
know? I'm from Israel, so
yeah, they were just training them to get used to the robes, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, and the smell of blood and dead animals all around.
Right. Getting familiar with a red calf. And,
yeah, exactly.
Right. Learning what blood is the blood that cleans you and what blood is the yucky blood.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of ins and outs.
How to tell if somebody's genitals were not acceptable. Yeah. Well, yeah.
It takes work.
Yeah.
Since they weren't counted with the sons of Yisrael, they were not given an inheritance among them. That's what Moshe and Elazar the Kohen counted in the plains of Moab by the Yarden near Jericho. Not a single one of them had been counted by Moshe and Aharon when the sons of Yisrael were counted in the Sinai desert, because Yehovah said to them, "You will all die in the desert." Not a single one was left except Kalev the son of Yefunah and Yehoshua the son of Nun.
That is chapter 53. And then, thankfully the Torah gave us some context to why they were counted against. That was good.
Yeah.
Chapter 54, in which a group of women demand what's theirs. Number 27:1 to 27:11.
Finally.
Yeah.
The daughters of Tzlafchad, son of Hefer, son of Gilad, son of Macher, son of Menashe, were brought forward by their families. Menashe was the son of Yosef, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Machla, Noah, Chagla, Milcah, and Tirzah were their names.
They're back.
Yes. They stood by the entrance of the tent of witnessing before Moshe, Elazar the Kohen, the presidents, and the whole phalanx.
Pretty high pressure.
Our father died in the desert, they said.
So he was the dude who was stoned to death for collecting sticks, apparently, a few episodes ago.
It's a bad hobby.
No, especially on the fucking Shabbos.
Oh, they did not guard over the fucking Shabbos.
Yeah.
And this is what can happen when you do that.
Exactly.
And
you have to invent feminism.
Yes. And he was not part of the group that rebelled against Yehovah with Korach. He died in his sin and didn't have any sons. Why should our father's name be wiped out of our family just because he didn't have a son?
That's a very good question.
Great question. Give us an inheritance amongst our father's brothers. Moshe brought their family before Yehovah. The daughters of Tzlafchad are right, Yehovah said. Give them an inheritance with their father's brothers, so their father's inheritance will pass down to them. Then, tell the sons of Yisrael that if a man dies without sons, his inheritance goes to his daughters.
Okay.
And if he doesn't have daughters, it goes to his brothers.
Okay.
And if he doesn't have brothers, it goes to his father's brothers. And if his father doesn't have brothers, it should go to whichever family member is closest to him.
It really is just like God to take what could have been a really powerful moment and turn it into like, oh, great, more rules about all the possible eventualities. Thank you.
Yeah. Where he started out was
so
really
strong.
Good.
Yeah.
It just decided to put 5,000 bows on it. Oh boy.
Thanks, God.
This will be a decree of rules for the sons of Yisrael that Yehovah commanded Moshe.
And for the daughters of Israel, right? Okay. That's chapter 54. Chapter 55, in which God teases Moshe, Numbers 27:12 to 27:23. There is a lot happening in this one, right? There's no actual stabbing to death, which is what comes to mind whenever I hear the word Pinchas, but there's a lot of other serious events.
Okay. All right. I'm going to get ready.
Yeah.
Get up on the mountain of Avarim, Yehovah said to Moshe, and look at the land I'm going to give to the sons of Yisrael. When you see it, I'll gather you up to your nation just like I did to your brother Aharon.
So that's a death threat?
Mm-hmm. Because you rebelled against me in the desert of Zin when the people fought to sanctify the water in front of them. That was the water of Merivat Kadesh in the desert of Zin.
If you remember how that rebellion went down, God told Moshe to talk to a rock, but he hit it instead. That's rebellion. He said, talk to the rock, and Moshe hit the rock. Which, I think is kind of, you don't hit the rock. You only talk to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You don't.
Oh, God.
That is what happens when you hit the rock. You die before reaching the promised land.
Yes. I think seeing it in that light now, I understand the punishment.
Exactly. It really only clicked to me when I realized that his new movie Skyscraper was coming out soon.
Yes. Yehovah, Elohim of the winds and all flesh, Moshe said, please set a man above the phalanx who will go out in front of them, will come in front of them.
Oh, why?
That's gross.
Yeah.
We'll take them out and we'll bring them in. Don't let the sons of Yisrael be like sheep without a shepherd.
Also known as sheeple.
Take Yehoshua, the son of Nun, Yehovah said, a man who has wind within him, and put your hand on him.
Mm-hmm. To help the wind come out.
Yes, I'm a little concerned.
Rub his belly.
Stand him before Elazar the Kohen and the whole phalanx, and command him in their view. Put my honor on him, so that the entire sons of Yisrael phalanx will listen to him forever. Standing in front of Elazar the Kohen, Yehoshua will ask for judgment from the Urim before Yehovah.
So the Urim were like the stones, I think, on now that Aaron is dead, Elazar is the number one top chief Kohen, so he wears the breastplate with all the magic stones on it.
Got it. It's like the Infinity Gems.
Yeah, exactly. Or that shit that guy wears in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right. On his word, the people will go out and come, him and all the sons of Yisrael with him and all the rest. Moshe did what Yehovah commanded him. He took Yehoshua, stood him in front of Elazar the Kohen and the whole phalanx. He put his hand on him and commanded him, just like Yehovah said, by the hand of Moshe.
That is chapter 55. Chapter 56, in which there are more rules. Numbers 28:1 to 28:8. But this makes sense, because you remember, this is the whole group that everybody who came out of Egypt is dead now, so God has to repeat himself, and God loves repeating himself.
Yeah. Command the sons of Yisrael, Yehovah said to Moshe, to remember to offer the bread presented to me as a fire offering to make a good smell at the right times.
And if it's at the wrong times, he'll probably send like poison snakes or something to kill them.
Tell them to bring a fire offering to Yehovah, 2 pure year-old lambs per day forever.
Forever, except not.
Except not, yeah. Make the first lamb in the morning and the second one between the mixings.
Also known as dusk.
Take 1/10 of an ephah of the fine flour mixed up with 1/4 hin of beaten oil for a meal offering.
Whatever that means.
It is an offering forever on Mount Sinai to make a nice, fiery smell for Yehovah.
Oh, he likes smells. He likes scented. Yeah.
Make the drink offering 1/4 hin for the one lamb. Do it in the holy. Pour out the drink offering for Yehovah. Make the second lamb between the mixings, using the same meal offering and drink offering as the morning to make a nice smell for Yehovah.
Oh, that's chapter 56. Chapter 57, in which we learn which animals to kill on the fucking Shabbos. Numbers 28:9 to 28:10.
On the fucking Shabbos, give 2 pure year-old lambs, 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with oil as a meal offering and a drink offering. This is the Olah offering for the fucking Shabbos, on top of the constant offering and the drink offering.
That's chapter 27, no jokes for me. Chapter 58, in which we learn the appropriate sacrifice for the first day of the month. Numbers 28:11 to 28:15. Important news.
At the heads of your months, bring an olah to Yehovah, 2 year-old bulls and 1 ram, 7 pure year-old lambs, 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour for the meal offering mixed up with oil for 1 bull, 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour for the meal offering mixed up in oil for the 1 ram. A little tenth of an ephah of fine flour for the meal offering mixed up in oil for each lamb. It will be an olah to make a nice smell as a fire offering for Jehovah.
Yeah, I mean, you really got to get those Levies started early so that they can do all this math, can calculate tenths of an ephah. It's really important.
Yeah. They need to be able to like judge just like
right
in an instant.
On site. They're like, that's 3/10. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do not want to summon like a fiery doom.
Exactly.
No.
That is strange fire. You know what happens when you do that.
It's just bad. Their drink offering will be half a hin of wine for each bull, a third of a hin for the ram, and a quarter hin for each lamb. This is the olah for each month of the year. Also, 1 he-goat as a sin offering to Jehovah over the normal forever olah and its drink offering.
Oh, that's chapter 58. Chapter 59, in which we learn which animals to slaughter on Passover. Numbers 28:16 to 28:25.
In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, it will be a Pesach to Jehovah. And on the 15th day of this month, it's a festival day. Eat matzahs for 7 days.
Woo! So, but by the way, all of these sections, whenever on these actual holidays the Torah is read in synagogue, these are the passages that are read. So like these are kind of the official decree. So like you go in on Rosh Chodesh or the first day of the month, the passage about the first day of the month that's here is read. On I think in the afternoon or like the extra afternoon services, Musaf on Shabbat, or fucking Shabbos, the passage about Shabbos is read. Like this is what's read on Passover. So
Got it.
These are read over and over and over again. And if you're somebody who likes to read the Torah in public, you learn these because these are things that get called on to read like kind of often.
That makes sense. Yeah. Perfect for the
Yeah.
the Torah show-offs.
Exactly.
Who we need to have.
Exactly.
So,
My dad would, he'd still have a job, but he wouldn't get to show off in synagogue.
Right. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, I'm sorry, I already read this bit about eat matzahs for 7 days. That is definitely how I like to celebrate.
So fun. Doesn't say clean, does it? No. Just eats matzah for 7 days.
The first day is a holy happening. Don't do any work. Bring an olah to Jehovah, 2 bulls, the son of cattle, 1 ram, and 7 pure year-old lambs. For the meal offerings, fine flour mixed up with oil, 3/10 for a bull, 2/10 for a ram. Make a tenth for each of the 7 rams. Also, do a he-goat as a sin offering to atone on yourselves. Offer these in addition to the morning olah you always do. Do it!
Do it!
Do this every day for 7 days. Use bread to make a nice smell for Jehovah over your normal daily olahs and drink offerings.
Bread,
On the seventh day, it's a holy happening for you. Don't do any work.
That's chapter 59. Chapter 60, in which a lesser-known holiday is brought up again, Numbers 28:26 to 28:31.
On the day of the firstborns, bring a new meal offering to Jehovah on your week party.
So this is Shavuot, the holiday that's 49 days after Passover.
It's a holy happening for you to Jehovah. Don't do any work. Bring an olah for a nice smell to Jehovah. 2 boy bulls, 1 ram, and 7-year-old lambs. Their meal offering is fine flour mixed up with oil. 3/10 for the 1
Guess
bull,
what?
2/10 for the ram, and 1/10 for the lambs, each of the 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do appreciate this consistency.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At least it was inscribed properly.
Yes. Also, 1 he-goat to atone for yourselves. Do it on top of the normal olah and its meal offering. Do it! They will be pure for you and their drink offerings.
Ooh, see, nothing about cheesecake, nothing about staying up all night to study Torah because that's when it was given. It's just a day. It's just a day. All that other stuff was added. That's chapter 60. Chapter 61, in which a description of the fall holidays lasts almost as long as Yom Kippur does. Numbers 29:1 to 31.
The first day of the 7th month is a holy happening to you. Don't do any work. It's a day of blasts for you. Make an olah to make a nice smell for Jehovah. 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 7 pure year-old lambs.
How much meal offering do you think is going to be with that?
Their meal offering is fine flour mixed up with oil.
Oil, huh?
Yeah, it's a surprise. 3/10 for the bull, 2/10 for the ram, and 1/10 for each of the 7 lambs. Also, a he-goat for the sin offering to atone on yourselves. This is in addition to the olah for the month, and the meal offering, and the regular daily olah, and its meal offering and pouring that I've commanded you, to make a nice smell for Jehovah.
Oh, of course, of course.
On the 10th day of this 7th month, it's a holy happening for you.
God.
Afflict your souls. Don't do any work. Bring an olah to Jehovah to what? Make a nice smell.
Of course.
A young bull, a ram, and 7 pure year-old lambs.
I can't believe they didn't run out of lambs. There's so many.
So many lambs. Their meal offering is fine flour mixed with oil, 3/10 for a bull, 2/10 for a ram, and 1/10 for each of the 7 lambs. Take a he-goat for the sin offering in addition to the sin offering of atoning and the daily olah, its meal offering, and its pouring.
All right, and now this is where it just completely goes off the rails.
All right, strap in, everyone.
Oh, boy.
On the 15th day of the 7th month, it's a holy happening for you. Don't do any work. Make a festival for Jehovah for 7 days. Sacrifice an olah to make a nice smell for Jehovah. 13 young bulls, 2 rams, 14 pure year-old lambs, their meal offering, fine flour mixed up with oil, 3/10 for each of the 13 bulls, 2/10 for each of the 2 rams, and 1/10 for each of the 14 lambs. Also, 1 he-goat for the sin offering over the normal daily olah, its meal offerings and pourings. Chad Gad Yah, Chad Gad Yah.
Yeah, this is basically the prototype for that. Get ready for math.
On the 2nd day, 12 young bulls, 2 rams, and 14 pure year-old lambs. And the meal offerings and pourings for the bulls, rams, and lambs are the same as usual.
Oh, thank you.
Also,
thank you so much. Thank you, God, for not writing out all the AFAs.
Also, a he-goat for the sin offering. Over the normal olah, its meal offerings and its pourings. On the 3rd day, 11 bulls, 2 rams, 14 pure year-old lambs, and their meal offerings and pourings based on the rules. Also, 1 he-goat for the sin offering over the normal olah, meal offerings, and pourings.
Oh my God. You know, it's like, this is tedious, but it's nowhere near as tedious as reading all 12 of the presidents and their exact same presents.
Yeah. On the 4th day, 10 bulls, 2 rams, and 14 pure year-old lambs. And, the meal offerings and pourings for each of these, and a he-goat for the sin offering. All this is above the normal olah, meal, and pour. On the 5th day, 9 bulls, 2 rams, and 14 pure year-old lambs. Their meals, their pours, yada yada, a he-goat for the sins, over and above the regular stuff. On the 6th day, guess what? 8 bulls, 2 rams, 14 super special lambs, their other stuff, a he-goat over and above, etc. On the 7th day, 7 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs, flour, oil, he-goat, more than usual.
Oh my God.
The 8th day...
Wait, I thought it was 7 days. Come on!
The 8th day is a special time for you.
Uh-huh.
Don't do any work.
Shemini Atzeret, it's called in Hebrew.
Bring an olah to make a nice smell for Jehovah. 1 bull, 1 ram, and 7 pure year-old lambs. Do their meal offerings and pourings according to the rules. Also, a he-goat is a sin offering on top of the normal olah, its meal offerings, and its pouring. Do these for Jehovah at his special times, in addition to your promises, your just becauses, your olahs, your meal offerings, your pourings, and your peace offerings. Moshe told the sons of Yisrael everything Jehovah commanded Moshe.
That is chapter 61. That is Pinchas. Thank you so much, Sophie.
You're welcome. We did
it.
it.
God, we did it. Oh my God. So I just did a quick calculation. That is, over the course of those 8 days of that last holiday, that is 105-year-old lambs. So that is a lot, I think.
That's a lot. And
Yeah.
I feel like they would have had to do so much really, really, really precise breeding.
Yeah. To get
every year.
Uh-huh. I don't know. Would
What
they?
if they're sorry?
I don't know. Maybe
Like,
it's easy.
what if their ewes had an off year
Right?
and couldn't produce the number of little baby lambs?
Well, that's, I think, what half of the Talmud is about. Thank you so much for reading with me. That was really fun.
it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Now is the time of the show called the Devar Torah, which literally means Torah word. Okay. So I was wondering if you could sum up everything that we just read into a single word.
Accounting.
Accounting. Okay. How come?
Yeah. There's just an awful lot of specifying the numbers of the houses of the various tribes and all their families. And then there's a lot of, here's the specific number of rams and bulls and lambs that you have to sacrifice on certain days over and above your normal Ola and your just becauses and your sin offerings and your atonements, and it needs to make a nice smell for Jehovah, but don't use the weird fire. He hates that. He'll have a tantrum. He might kill you with a spike. You'll be smoked down and you can't go to the promised land, and etc. and so forth. And all I can see as I'm reading that and listening to that is like a series of very beautifully organized ledgers. In really precise handwriting. Honestly, their handwriting must have been terrible. Did they even have ink? I don't know.
Well, again, those Levies got to be trained early.
Yeah.
Getting them writing, learning their numbers.
Yeah, I just feel like you can... Like, it is such a stereotype, but this particular stereotype does come from somewhere.
Exactly.
Which is that Jews are awesome at, close textual reading and analysis, and that's why we're lawyers, and we're also really good at keeping stuff organized and properly accounted for, and that's why there's a lot of nice Jewish accountants out there.
Exactly. There's
just, I don't know that that we're naturally predisposed to these things, but when you're trained from birth, as a culture, to do these things, you will develop skills.
Absolutely. You really see the origins of a lot of things. There's Jewish accounting you see in this book. You see Jewish complaining often a lot.
Oh, so much complaining. God. The one way in which I am a little sympathetic to the literary Jehovah, is that, all he wants to do is sanctify some people and have them guard over his fucking Shabbos. And all they can do is complain. The food's not good enough.
Oh, we don't have water. Oh.
There was a famine and you sent us to the place with the good food, but then they turned on us and if it is not one thing, it's another. And all he wants is nice smells and for people to talk to the rock, not strike it. Can people not just follow directions?
He must be so frustrated. It's so frustrating.
So I do understand that he could be a little testy. But I also think that there's nobody in his life telling him, listen, bud, you're taking it a little too far.
No.
Remember, these humans are just puny humans. They're not immortal.
You made them. You should know better.
Yeah, you made them. Can't you recognize their limitations? Come on.
Yeah. I think my word was preparation. I think because... I get confused about the episode order. It was in Chukat 2 episodes ago, episode 6, where it was kind of like a summing up or a winding down of all the plot lines, getting them ready to enter the land. Now it really is God and Moshe preparing them to enter the land. Moshe is assigning his successor, so Moshe is preparing to pass away, and then we're going to see his final thoughts in Deuteronomy next season. But also it's repeating of all the laws. They're counting them up again and preparing to divide all the land, which is in some excruciating detail in the next coming weeks, preparing to attack the armies that attack them. It's really getting ready and getting set to know all the rules so that they can take over this land and genocide the people who are already there. So that's what's happened.
Oh, boy. That is, if there's something that we should be reflecting on as a species, I think that's it.
Which part?
Yeah, I don't know that we have that much moral high ground to claim.
No one really does.
No. And, that's to me, I think that's actually a good thing. It is, obviously, it's very sobering. But I think it's also a really positive thing when you can let go, when you realize that a certain amount of your pride is misplaced. You can then sort of start from a more equal footing with others.
Yeah, I think that's
good.
It was something for me to realize that there's nothing particular about this kind of violence that every culture kind of has it in them to commit atrocities, and nobody is better than anybody else. And it's more up to us right now to stop ourselves from doing that than like we have some kind of immunity to this, which is why the current political moment is so terrifying. People don't want to admit to themselves that they're capable of horrible things, but we don't need to get into that.
I think one of the things that we don't think we're capable of terrible things because we're so privileged to live not in extremis.
Yeah.
And I think that it's when you are in extremis that the temptation to do something truly horrible and unforgivable arises. And at the same time, the opportunity to be a righteous person also arises. And I think that's, for all that I'm not a member of a congregation and don't really see myself becoming one in the future, I do think like my education that my parents put so much time and effort and money and real thoughtfulness into, it bears out. I mean, it's borne out in a bunch of my life choices, not that I've been in the position to do anything truly extraordinary, but like, I chose to become a librarian, and one of my sisters just graduated from a Master's in Social Work program, and my other sister works with Philabundance, which is Philadelphia's largest food bank. She runs a couple of their programs, and to me, I just think, would we have chosen those service-oriented and social justice-oriented career paths without the educations that we had? Maybe. But I also think that, growing up in a family that prizes justice.
Yeah.
To me, those are real, tangible, positive outcomes of that. And I think that that's, for me, like that's where one of the places I try to make space for my Judaism.
Yeah. I think that Judaism can inform that. Unfortunately, things can be kind of tilted to whoever interprets it, and certain Jewish spaces don't always go that way. We're going to, I think, wrap up.
Great.
Is there anything that you want to plug or places that people can check you out online before we do?
Oh, yeah, thank you. If you want to follow me on Twitter, where I am routinely yelling enthusiastically about culture and politics and parenting and all that good stuff, I'm at Sophie Biblio. And if you are interested in Two Bossy Dames, you can follow us on Twitter at Two Bossy Dames. That's all spelled out. Or subscribe for free or for $5 a month, which would get you extra content that Margaret and I put together at twobossydames.substack.com.
Well, thank you. As always,
You're very welcome.
You can check out the podcast at
Yes.
everywhere: Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, not Spotify, Google Play, all the places. The website OMGWTFBIBLE.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, not Snapchat because I'm too old. As always, please rate and review us on iTunes or on Apple Podcasts. If you're listening to this and you haven't done it yet, please do, because it actually really does help boost it up. And also, when people come to see if the show is legit, they'll see how many reviews we have and what the rating is, and it convinces them that this isn't just something that I make with my microphone and people I know. Please share the show. A good way to share it is to take a transcript of it and write it out in old telegrams, find a Western Union office somewhere and send it to some people, and just make sure to add stop as often as you possibly can, because that's what makes telegrams so great. I want to thank you again, Sophie, for being on the show. This was really wonderful, and it was really fun to have you read. I hope you enjoyed your time.
I did.
I hope you enjoyed this weird parsha, one of the more confusing ones narratively. And if you're listening, please make sure to tune in again next week, because next time in the Bible,
there was a plague. You have to kill all the little boys and every woman who has fucked a man.